One moment, Link stands victorious atop Hyrule Castle, having defeated the evil wizard Ganon. The next moment, reality tears open, and the hero plummets through a screaming portal into a nightmare realm where the sky bleeds crimson, the forests twist into skeletal horrors, and every familiar landmark has been corrupted into something monstrous. This is the Dark World, and it's not just an alternate dimension, it's a curse, a prison, and the grotesque reflection of Hyrule's darkest possible future. What players discovered in 1991 wasn't just a clever gameplay twist, it was one of gaming's most sophisticated explorations of corruption, power, and the consequences of greed. The Dark World's introduction remains one of the most dramatic moments in Zelda history. After collecting the 3 pendants of virtue and pulling the Master Sword from its pedestal in the Lost Woods, Link confronts Ganon in the castle's tower. The wizard has been kidnapping the 7 maidens, descendants of the 7 wise men who sealed the sacred realm, and sending them through dimensional portals to break the seal on Ganon. When Ganon falls to Link's blade, the victory feels complete, but Ganon rises again, laughing, revealing that the battle was all according to plan. With a wave of his hands, he opens a portal and flings Link into the Dark World, following close behind. The screen goes black, and when vision returns, everything has changed. The initial arrival in the Dark World hits players with immediate sensory overload. The light world's bright greens and blues give way to sickly purples, browns, and reds. The cheerful overworld theme is replaced by ominous, foreboding music that pulses with tension. The Pyramid of Power looms where Hyrule Castle once stood, a massive, ancient structure that dominates the landscape. The differences aren't just cosmetic, the very geography has warped. Lakes have dried into cracked wastelands, peaceful villages have become monster camps. The once vibrant Lost Woods has transformed into the Skull Woods, a dead forest filled with massive skulls serving as cave entrances. This isn't a parallel dimension that happens to look different. This is Hyrule twisted by malevolent power. The environmental storytelling reaches every corner of the map. Kakariko Village, the peaceful town where friendly NPCs offered help and items, becomes the village of outcasts in the Dark World. The buildings remain in similar positions, but they're dilapidated and decaying. The inhabitants are hostile or desperate. The fortune teller's house becomes a treasure minigame run by a thief. The inn becomes a gambling den. The weapon shop becomes a target gallery. The bomb shop continues operating, but with a seedier atmosphere. Every familiar location has been perverted into something darker, reinforcing the sense that this world is Hyrule's shadow, what the light world could become if evil prevails. The transformation extends beyond settlements. Link's house in the light world becomes a bombed-out ruin in the Dark World. The sanctuary where the priest offered refuge becomes a ruin crawling with monsters. Lake Hylia, a serene body of water perfect for swimming, becomes the Ice Lake, a frozen expanse that must be traversed carefully. The Desert of Mystery expands into the Swamp of Evil, a putrid bog filled with quicksand and hostile creatures. The Death Mountain foothills transform into the Dark Death Mountain, where aggressive enemies patrol narrow cliffs. Every transformation tells a story of corruption spreading unchecked. The game's use of parallel positioning creates constant cognitive dissonance. Players instinctively know where things should be based on light world knowledge, but the Dark World subverts those expectations. Where the blacksmith's house stood in the light world, a monster camp appears in the Dark World. Where the friendly lumberjack brothers lived, a dangerous enemy-filled area emerges. This disorientation is intentional design, making players feel lost despite familiar geography. The Dark World is hostile by nature, and even spatial memory becomes unreliable. But the most disturbing aspect of the Dark World is what it does to living beings. When Link first arrives, he's transformed into a pink rabbit, helpless, unable to use weapons or items, vulnerable to every enemy. This is the Dark World's curse. Anyone who enters without the Moon Pearl is transformed into a form reflecting their true nature. Link becomes a rabbit because of his pure heart. Other beings are transformed based on their inner essence. Thieves become monsters, the greedy become beasts, the corrupt become demons. This curse reveals the Dark World's fundamental nature. It's not just a place, it's a judgment. The game reveals the Dark World's origins through careful environmental details and NPC dialogue. Long ago, the Golden Land existed as a paradise where the Triforce resided. According to legend, the gods created the Triforce and left it in a sacred realm, hidden from mortals. However, Ganondorf Dragmire, a powerful thief from the desert, and his followers discovered the entrance. They entered the sacred realm, fighting each other for the right to touch the Triforce first. Ganondorf prevailed, and when he touched the Triforce, his evil heart corrupted the sacred realm, transforming it into the Dark World. The paradise became a nightmare, reflecting Ganon's twisted desires for power and domination. This backstory connects directly to Hyrulean history. The king of Hyrule, learning of the sacred realm's corruption, commanded the 7 wise men to seal the entrance, preventing Ganon's evil from spreading into Hyrule proper. They succeeded, creating the seal that locked Ganon and his power away. This event became known as the Imprisoning War. For generations, the seal held, but Ganon's influence seeped through, eventually finding a pawn in Ganon, the wizard who orchestrated the maiden kidnappings. By sending the 7 maidens, descendants of the original 7 wise men, into the Dark World, Ganon weakened the seal from both sides, allowing Ganon's power to influence Hyrule, and eventually enabling the full breakdown of the barrier. The 7 maidens imprisoned in the Dark World's dungeons represent more than rescue objectives. Each maiden is trapped within a crystal inside one of the Dark World's 7 palaces. Dark Palace, Swamp Palace, Skull Woods, Thieves' Town, Ice Palace, Misery Mire, and Turtle Rock each hold one maiden. Their imprisonment serves multiple narrative purposes. First, it keeps them from reinforcing the seal that contains Ganon. Second, their suffering fuels Ganon's power. Third, their rescue becomes Link's primary objective, driving the second half of the game's narrative. Each freed maiden provides exposition about the Dark World, Ganon's plans, and Link's destiny, gradually revealing the full scope of the threat. The magic mirror serves as both gameplay mechanic and narrative device. This mysterious artifact allows Link to return to the light world from the dark world, but only in specific circumstances. The mirror works from anywhere in the dark world overworld, transporting Link back to the corresponding light world location. However, it doesn't function inside dungeons, preventing easy escapes from dangerous situations. Narratively, the mirror represents Link's connection to his true world, a lifeline that prevents him from being permanently trapped in Ganon's corrupted realm. It's also essential for puzzle solving, as some locations require switching between worlds to progress. The relationship between light and dark worlds creates intricate environmental puzzles. Certain locations can only be accessed by entering from the light world, falling or transitioning at a specific position, and arriving at the corresponding dark world. For example, the entrance to Misery Mire in the dark world is only accessible by using the flute to warp to a specific point in the light world, then using the magic mirror to position correctly in the dark world. The Tower of Hera's dungeon location in the light world corresponds to Ganon's tower in the dark world, creating thematic resonance. The highest point of Link's light world adventure becomes the foundation for his final confrontation with evil. Enemy design in the dark world reflects the heightened danger. Light world enemies like Octoroks and Tektites are replaced by more aggressive variants. Red-armored Moblin spearmen deal more damage than their blue-armored light world counterparts. The Lynels, centaur-like creatures that fire sword beams, are far more common and dangerous.
Wizrobes teleport more frequently and cast more powerful spells. The environment itself becomes hostile, with pitfalls, gaps, and obstacles positioned to maximize danger. This isn't just difficulty scaling, it's environmental storytelling showing that the Dark World is fundamentally more hostile to life. The NPCs who remain in the Dark World provide crucial insights into what happened. The dwarf who maintains the digging game explains that he's trapped in the Dark World and can't escape. The treasure chest minigame operator in the Village of Outcasts reveals that many inhabitants are stuck there, unable to return home. The fat fairy in the Pyramid of Power offers healing but charges exorbitant prices, showing how even traditionally benevolent beings become corrupted. These interactions paint a picture of the Dark World as a prison where normal life is impossible. Everyone is either a victim of the curse, has been transformed into a monster, or is desperately trying to survive. The Pyramid of Power itself deserves special attention. This massive structure replaces Hyrule Castle at the map's center, serving as the Dark World's most prominent landmark. Its black stone construction and ominous silhouette convey power and menace. The pyramid is where Link first arrives in the Dark World, and it's where Ganon has consolidated his strength. The structure's design suggests ancient evil, something that predates Hyrule itself. Inside the pyramid's lower levels lies Ganon's chamber, where the final confrontation takes place. The pyramid isn't just Ganon's fortress, it's a monument to his corruption of the sacred realm, a physical manifestation of his dominance over this twisted dimension. The game's dungeons in the Dark World tell their own stories through design and aesthetics. The Dark Palace, built near the pyramid, features heavy stone construction and straightforward combat challenges, reflecting Ganon's direct power. The Swamp Palace rises from the putrid bog that replaced the Light World's dam area, with water-based puzzles that turn the life-giving element into a hazard. Skullwood splits across multiple entrances in the Dead Forest, creating disorientation and confusion. Thieves' Town sits beneath the Village of Outcasts, showing how corruption runs deep beneath even the surface of civilization. The Ice Palace freezes what was once temperate terrain, demonstrating Ganon's ability to warp nature itself. Misery Mire emerges from the desert, a dark fortress rising from sand and shadow. Turtle Rock crowns the Dark Death Mountain, the ultimate test before facing Ganon himself.
Each dungeon's boss reflects the Dark World's corrupted nature. Helmasaur King, Argus, Mothula, Blind the Thief, Cold Stare, Vitreous, and Trinax represent twisted versions of natural creatures and beings, corrupted by Ganon's influence. These aren't random monsters, they're guardians placed specifically to protect the imprisoned maidens. Their defeat weakens Ganon's hold on the realm and brings Link closer to the final confrontation. The bosses grow progressively more challenging and mechanically complex, mirroring Link's journey deeper into the heart of corruption. The narrative builds toward the revelation that Aghanim is not the true antagonist. The wizard serves as Ganon's alter ego, a projection of power into the light world. Aghanim's defeat doesn't destroy Ganon, it merely removes his puppet. This twist reframes the entire adventure. The first half of the game, which seemed to conclude with Aghanim's defeat, was merely a prelude. The Dark World represents the true threat, and Ganon is the true enemy. This structure creates a satisfying narrative escalation. Players think they've won, then realize the real battle has just begun. The Seven Maidens rescue triggers the final phase. Once all seven are freed, they combine their power to break the barrier surrounding Ganon's tower. This collective action mirrors the original Seven Wise Men who sealed the Sacred Realm, but this time it's to grant access rather than deny it. The Maidens can't defeat Ganon themselves. Only Link, wielding the Master Sword and possessing the completed Triforce pieces, can accomplish that. But their power enables the final confrontation, showing that even in the Dark World, cooperation and unity can challenge corruption. Ganon's tower stands as the Dark World's ultimate dungeon. This massive structure requires navigating 4 separate paths, each testing different skills and requiring different items. The dungeon's design reinforces that this is the source of the Dark World's corruption. Everything twisted and evil in this realm flows from Ganon's presence in this tower.
Reaching the top, players confront Aghanim once more before he reveals his true nature and transforms into Ganon for the final battle. The confrontation with Ganon takes place in a chamber beneath the tower's summit, inside the Pyramid of Power itself. This is where the Dark World's curse originated, where Ganon first touched the Triforce and corrupted the Golden Land. The fight is intense and multifaceted, requiring precise sword work and the use of silver arrows, weapons specifically designed to harm Ganon. The fight's location carries symbolic weight. Link is battling evil at its source, attempting to purify the corruption at its root. Ganon's defeat doesn't just save the maidens, it has the potential to restore the entire Dark World. When Ganon falls and Link claims the Triforce, the ending sequence shows the Dark World's restoration. The corrupted realm transforms back into the Golden Land, a paradise once more. The Triforce, no longer tainted by evil, can grant wishes according to the heart of whoever touches it. Link's pure heart ensures that the wish restores everything Ganon destroyed. The maidens are freed, Aghanim's curse is lifted, and Hyrule returns to peace. The transformation is complete. What was the Dark World becomes the Sacred Realm again, proving that corruption can be overcome and evil can be purged. The Dark World's influence on future Zelda titles is profound and lasting. Ocarina of Time's future timeline shows Hyrule transformed by Ganondorf's 7-year reign. Castle Town becomes a Redan-infested ruins, the Temple of Time is surrounded by decay, and what was the bright landscape takes on darker, more threatening tones. This is a direct descendant of A Link to the Past's light, dark world concept. Twilight Princess features the Twilight Realm, a parallel dimension where Hyrule is covered in twilight, and its inhabitants are transformed into spirits. The mechanics and themes directly echo the Dark World: transformation curses, environmental corruption, and the need to restore light to banish darkness. Other games in the series continued exploring these concepts. Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons feature time travel and seasonal changes that alter the landscape, building on the parallel world idea. The Wind Waker's flooded Hyrule represents another form of corruption, nature overwhelming civilization. A Link Between Worlds literally revisits the light-dark world, featuring Lorule as a parallel kingdom that collapsed when its Triforce was destroyed. Even Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom feature corrupted areas, malice and gloom spreading across the land, requiring purification. The Dark World established that Zelda games could explore mature themes of corruption, transformation, and the physical manifestation of evil. The Dark World also elevated Zelda's narrative ambitions. Prior to A Link to the Past, Zelda games featured relatively straightforward good versus evil stories. The original Legend of Zelda was about rescuing Princess Zelda and defeating Ganon. The Adventure of Link was about awakening the sleeping Princess Zelda and preventing Ganon's resurrection. Both were heroic quests with clear objectives. A Link to the Past introduced moral complexity and cosmic consequences. The Dark World represents what happens when evil touches ultimate power.
It shows the long-term consequences of greed and corruption. It demonstrates that evil doesn't just threaten individuals, it corrupts reality itself. The game's ending reinforces this thematic depth. The restored Golden Land isn't just a gameplay reward, it's a narrative statement that corruption can be reversed, that darkness doesn't have to be permanent, and that heroism can restore what evil has twisted. The images of restored Hyrule during the credits show specific individuals and locations returning to normal, emphasizing that Link's actions had concrete, visible consequences. The blacksmith returns to his forge, the lost woods become vibrant again, the villagers return to peaceful lives. The ending validates the entire struggle, showing that the Dark World's horrors were worth confronting because restoration was possible. The game's instruction manual and in-game text provide additional context about the Dark World's nature. The manual explains the Imprisoning War's history, detailing how Ganondorf and his thieves invaded the Sacred Realm and how the 7 wise men sealed it away. The Maiden's dialogue throughout the game gradually reveals more details about Aghanim's plan, Ganon's nature, and the connection between the two villains. The Old Man Atop Death Mountain provides crucial exposition about the Triforce's location and the need to defeat Ganon. These narrative breadcrumbs build a complete picture of the Dark World's origins and significance. The magic mirrors lore, revealed through exploration and dialogue, adds another layer. This ancient artifact was created specifically to allow travel between worlds under controlled circumstances. Its existence suggests that the connection between light and dark worlds was anticipated, that sealing the sacred realm didn't sever the connection entirely, just controlled access. The mirror becomes essential for Link's quest, proving that tools created to manage the seal can also be used to break Ganon's hold on the corrupted realm. The Moon Pearl's lore is similarly significant. This mystical item prevents the Dark World's transformation curse, allowing Link to maintain his true form. The Pearl's existence implies that beings have entered the Dark World before and needed protection from its curse. The game doesn't explicitly state who created the Moon Pearl or why, leaving intriguing questions about Hyrule's magical traditions and the precautions taken against the Dark World's influence. What's clear is that without it, Link would be helpless in the Dark World, a bunny unable to fight, use items, or complete his quest. The transformation curse itself reveals the Dark World's fundamental nature. It's not just a hostile environment, it's actively malevolent, forcing beings to confront their inner nature. The game shows this through various transformed creatures. Some NPCs mention being transformed and unable to return to normal. The implication is that the Dark World strips away pretense, forcing beings to manifest their true selves. For someone with a pure heart like Link, it means becoming a harmless creature. For those with darkness in their hearts, it means becoming monsters. This adds psychological horror to the physical danger. The Dark World judges everyone who enters. The geography itself tells stories. The positioning of dungeons in the Dark World correspond roughly to Light World locations, but with thematic twists. The Tower of Hera's position becomes Ganon's tower. The highest point of heroism becomes the pinnacle of evil. The Eastern Palace location becomes the Palace of Darkness. The first step of Link's journey becomes a bastion of Ganon's power. These inversions aren't random, they're deliberate design choices that reinforce the Dark World as an evil mirror of Hyrule, where everything good is perverted. The game's color palette choices enhance the narrative. The Light World features bright, saturated colors, lush greens, vibrant blues, warm yellows. The Dark World's palette shifts to muted, sickly tones, brownish greens, murky purples, blood reds. Even the sky changes from blue to dark crimson, suggesting perpetual twilight or a realm where natural light doesn't exist. These visual choices aren't merely aesthetic, they reinforce the emotional tone and narrative themes. The Dark World feels wrong on a primal level because everything about it, color, sound, structure, has been corrupted. The music deserves special recognition. The Dark World overworld theme is ominous and foreboding, with a rhythmic pulse that suggests danger lurking everywhere. It's not actively frightening like dungeon themes, but it maintains constant tension, never allowing players to feel completely safe. This musical choice reinforces that even the Dark World's overworld is hostile territory. The dungeon themes grow darker and more intense, with the final dungeon featuring particularly aggressive, dissonant music that builds dread before the Ganon confrontation. The Dark World's impact extends beyond the game itself, into gaming culture. It's frequently cited as one of the most memorable alternate dimensions in video game history, alongside Silent Hill's Otherworld, Metroid's Dark Ether, and Link Between Worlds' Lore Rule. The Dark World proved that alternate dimensions could be more than palette swaps or simple gameplay variations. They could be fundamental to narrative and theme, serving as physical manifestations of a game's core conflicts and ideas. Speedrunning communities engage with the Dark World in fascinating ways. Sequence breaks allow skilled players to enter the Dark World early, skip certain dungeons, or manipulate the parallel world mechanics in unintended ways. These exploits demonstrate the robust underlying systems. The game's code handles world transitions, transformations, and parallel positioning in ways that remain functional even when broken. The fact that the Dark World remains coherent and navigable even during sequence breaks speaks to solid foundational design. The Dark World represents A Link to the Past's boldest narrative and mechanical innovation. It transforms an already excellent Zelda game into something more ambitious, a story about corruption, power, and restoration told through environmental design and player experience. Every twisted location, every transformed creature, every dungeon holding a captive maiden reinforces the central themes. The Dark World isn't just where the second half of the game takes place, it's the thematic heart of the entire experience, the visual and mechanical representation of what happens when evil touches ultimate power. 33 years after release, The Dark World remains compelling because it respects player intelligence and emotional investment. The game trusts players to understand the symbolism of corrupted locations without heavy-handed explanation. It allows the environmental storytelling to convey horror and loss without excessive dialogue. It creates a world that feels genuinely cursed and dangerous, then gives players the tools and motivation to restore it. The Dark World is teaching material for game designers exploring how to create meaningful alternate dimensions, how to use environmental design to reinforce narrative themes, and how to make players feel both lost and driven simultaneously. The ultimate lesson of the Dark World is that corruption isn't permanent. Evil can be challenged, darkness can be purified, and twisted realities can be restored. Link's journey from helpless rabbit to triumphant hero mirrors the land's transformation from Nightmare Realm back to Golden Paradise. The Dark World shows players the worst-case scenario, then empowers them to fix it. That's powerful narrative design, creating genuine stakes by showing what's been lost, then providing the meaningful opportunity to restore it. It's a lesson in game storytelling that remains relevant decades later, proving that A Link to the Past's Dark World was more than a clever gameplay twist. It was a masterclass in environmental narrative, thematic consistency, and the power of showing rather than telling.